Hello, this is Jean Fan. Thank you for joining this webinar. I'm the Authentication Product Manager at FIME. FIME is a trusted partner for consulting and testing service across payment, authentication, smart mobility, and open banking industries. And we are a recognized biometric laboratory since 2017. Today, we are going to talk about the topic of how can bias influence the usage of biometrics. Today, we are going to speak about the topic in three parts. The first part will be the biometric use cases, and the second will be influence of biometric bias. The third part, we will cover how to mitigate bias and how FIME can help. So starting from the biometric use cases, we can see that today we use biometrics in many industries, starting from government, our smartphones for biometric unlock, and further use cases like banking, financial services, enterprises, access control, transport, healthcare, education, retail, and so on. And not only, more of them are coming, like remote identity, e-signatures, digital identities, and in-car payment, etc. So we can see the usage of biometrics are really increasing along the time. But in general, we can categorize the biometric in two ways, two working models of using it. The first model is authentication. The users will provide their biometric templates, and in the meantime, they make their identity claim with it. The biometric systems make comparisons one-to-one model to compare the biometric template provided compared to the enrolled template of that same individual. On the other working model is the identification side, where the users do not make their identity claims. The biometric data will be compared with a set of database. It's a one-to-n comparison model. These two models both applies to the two phases approach. The first phase, the users need to enroll their biometrics into a device or a database, and then later on, when they are using using biometrics to identify or authenticate themselves, the comparison step will be make the mapping between the biometric data presented and the biometric data stored in the storage. So we can see on the biometric side, there are a few benefits and concerns why we choose to use biometrics. Security is, of course, the benefit of it. It's unique for every individual. And the convenience side, there are no specific information to remember. We don't need to remember any password, PIN code, and we have nothing, no physical keys to carry. And on the user experience wise, biometric solutions brings better accessibilities, and it provides the possibilities of remote access without the person physically present in the counter. And also it reduced the frictions compared to other authentication methods we are using, like typing a complex password or waiting to get the OTP from another applications. So there are benefits of using biometric, but on the other hand, there are also concerns when using biometrics, such as the privacy and user consent. It's different in every country that we have the regulations defining how to control user privacy and control the data of sensitive data of the users. And also biometric systems can introduce some vulnerabilities to the users. The systems can be hacked or misused. Imposters can try to spoof to make spoof attacks, and also and once unlike password, once the system is attacked successfully, we cannot really change our biometrics. So it has some weakness also. And hence, it also introduced the importance of the accuracy of the solution and also the bias. How correct the biometric systems can make comparison decisions will be very critical if the biometric solution can be accepted by the users. And also if the solution are able to make the bias under a controlled level that introduce better to have a good quality of the decision making made. Also, it can, by controlling this accuracy and bias, it can include different ethnicities or also include minorities when using biometrics. On the other hand, there are cost concerns as well when implementing a biometric solution and try to involve it all the time when the technology is improving. It's important to consider the cost aspects as well. So now we have know the benefit and concerns. What is the market status today? According to a research done last year, we can see that 56% of the organizations are using multi-factor authentications, which we know there can be three factors: what we know, what we have, and what we are. And biometric is the actor of what we are part. So multi-factor authentications requires more than one factors, of course. But among these usages, only 34% of the organizations choose biometrics to be the technology they use for their access management systems. So we can see there are still space and trust to build in this industry to have a better biometric solutions to the market. So while the use cases of biometrics are using, it's more important, and it's the challenge of all the ecosystem to bring a good balance between security and seamless user experience to make this usage of biometric more successful. Now we can have a look of what will be the influence on biometric bias. Focus on this part. If we try to categorize them into different parts, the biometric can be categorized in different factors. The first part and most common one can be demographic bias. Different depending on people's age, gender, ethnicities, disease, skin disease, or skin tones, there can be different bias. The performance of a biometric system can be different depending on the demographic characteristics. And also the environment conditions, where the users are using the biometric solutions. It's not necessarily indoor and it's not necessarily outdoor, can be at the tropical area or a colder area. So different environment conditions may also introduce the inconsistencies of the results. So how we can take a look of and control the bias on environment conditions, it's also one area we should look at. And likewise, positions of how far the users are holding their device or the angles they are holding their device can maybe introduce differences of the biometric decisions. And accessories or cosmetics, we know like sometimes we wear glasses, sunglasses, or since COVID-19, sometimes we wear masks or different makeups, different hairstyles. Does it change the performance of biometric solutions? It's also quite important factor we want to know. And like we said earlier, there are two major steps when using a biometric: enrollment and comparison. So when some use cases, the enrollment and comparison are not necessarily happened in the same device or same environment. When I enroll my biometric, it can be done at the government agencies or at the banks. And when I use the biometric later on to authenticate myself or try to log into a government service, it can be on my own PCs or on my own mobile devices. Does it introduce the same results? Does it bring some differences, not only on the user journey, but also on the comparison? Because, for example, if it's facial recognition, the cameras on the laptops, on my smartphones, and at the government agencies will be different. So these all areas we should really look into it. And what kind of impact will the bias bring? First, we can see that it's security. False positive can be introduced when there are security concerns. So if imposters get accepted as a genuine users, it can introduce more vulnerabilities and also some anti-spoofing and influence the anti-spoofing capabilities of the solutions. Of course, also liveness detection. And the second pillars can be the user experience impact. False negative is the indicators of this area. So, for example, I'm the user. I try to unlock my phone, but after 4 or 5 times, I still cannot use it because I have a sweat finger. So, in this kind of cases, it happens. I think it's quite common still. How it will definitely impact the user's adoption rate, and we don't control where the users are using the biometric solutions, and it will also introduce it will also be the criteria that we decide if we continue to use the solution or we choose another solution. And on the other hand, it also have coverage impact. Like we said earlier, there can be demographic differences or environment differences. So in this part, it influences the geographic reach, demographic variety supported, and even operational devices of the biometric solutions. So all these parts really brings business impact, not only to the biometric solution providers, but also to the parties selecting biometric as the solution they want to use. It will impact how successful your usage of biometric is. So the third part, we will have a look of how we can mitigate the bias and where Fing can help. So we divided here depending on the roles of how the biometrics are using. So the first part will be the biometric solution providers. As a biometric solution providers, you would wish to extend the coverage of your solution, and you want to demonstrate reliability to your end customers, and also you want to stand out from your peers. In this case, you will need to train your solution as much as possible to have more diversified conditions and configurations with more diversified populations. And after the training, before launching the solution, you will also need to validate internally the data of your biometric solutions can used for validation should include varieties during the validation phase to ensure this solution can have bias under control. And also you can provide these evaluation results to your customer and demonstrate your reliabilities. And after the product or solution is launched, based on the data from the field, you can conduct further investigation and try to improve the performance of your solution. And all these scenarios where FIME supports can help, we can help you on several areas. Firstly, we have a research team. We do some research projects in some advanced topics. And we also help our customer to define their test strategy, or we help you collect some data if, for example, you have some specific requirement under specific environment and so on. And of course, as a test laboratory, we help our customer to perform evaluation and under an efficient way. So we also have this program to improve testing efficiency. So the photos you see here is one of the research project we did. We analyzed the fingerprint sensors performance under different environment conditions of different temperatures and different humidity. And we do see there are some differences depending on the sensor products. So for the second row, if you are brand owners, then you brand owners, or if you are integrators of biometric solutions, in this case, you would wish to avoid vulnerabilities because then it can protect your brand and your users. And also you want to introduce a streamlined user journey in order to make sure the biometric solution is integrated successfully and also brings a good user experience. In this case, you will need to, in order to reduce or mitigate bias, you will need to define a tolerable range of your implementation, and then include these criteria in the basic requirement when deciding which biometric solution to select. And also during the evaluation of supplier space, you should request some evaluation reports from the suppliers to select a better one. And after the integration of the solution, you may also want to test the final solution, ensure bias are controlled, align with your criteria, and then introduce a friendly user journey. So in this case, FIME can support you also if you have some research projects to do, or if you need some consulting service to help you define the reasonable range of the bias and to help you, for example, analyze the solution if it's aligned with your criteria, and vulnerability investigation, for example, to help you find the weakness before launching a solution, evaluation, and potentially automate the test process. So this is an example of how we automate the testing. We have a solution developed at FIME leveraging a robot to perform the anti-spoofing testing with conditions of different environment, different light or background, and so on. So in this way, we can help speed up the testing under different environment conditions. So we do have this kind of project to help support our customers. And the third part, if you are a biometric solution buyers, you would wish to have the biometric data secured and compliant with the local regulations, and users can access easily to use the biometric service, and also the performance will be equivalent among all users and environments where your solution is going to be introduced. So in this case, you will need to understand how the biometric data you are going to select. You need to understand how they manage the biometric data, and also to ensure the solution's working model is aligned with the regulations of your country or the market you are going to introduce, and also select a reliable product with their, for example, third-party evaluation report or a certificate to trust the solution providers, and then also to check the limitations of the solutions. If they have limitations in different environment, for example, outdoor or specific market, then you would wish to understand them beforehand. In this case, Fing can support you to provide some training workshop to help you understand what will be the considerations you need to understand before selecting the solutions, and also customize consulting service or help you to benchmark the solutions providers you have on the list. So at FIME, we help our customers throughout their development journey. During define, design, deliver, and test phases, we provide consulting service and testing certification service with our laboratories. If you want to know more how FIME can support you to introduce a successful biometric solutions or to implement biometric solutions, please feel free to reach us, and we wish to see you soon and to talk about this topic. Hope today's sessions is helpful for you and bring some inspirations, and thank you for joining.
Hi, Jean. It's great to have you here at Security Bio Live, talking to us about biometric bias, a very topical issue in the security space right now. So I just had a couple questions to go through regarding your presentation, and we're going to start at the fundamentals. So although biometrics as a whole has been used for many years now, its overall adoption, and particularly newer technologies, is still in its infancy phase. So how do you think this will evolve over the near future?
Yes, indeed. For biometric, we think there can be, because there is still a challenge between finding the balance between security and the user journey. It's always a difficult decision how you can find the best threshold while controlling the security without making the solution too difficult to pass for user and decrease the user experience. So that's still a challenge of the market to be improved. And for the future of biometric, we think now by trying to improve this, for example, using multi-modal biometrics by combining more than one biometrics, for example, to have face recognition plus a type of behavioral biometric, such as the way I smile or the way I blink. Combining these two factors, although because everyone, the way we smile can be unique, or the way we type, the keystroke we have, the behavior are unique. So by combining two factors of biometric can improving the security without jeopardizing too much the user experience. So we think this is one of the trend of better usage of biometric. And of course, while biometric solution is trying to be more mature, the topic which addressed today on bias, to have the solution can be increase their coverage in different environment for different demographic characteristic. It's also the way how biometric model will grow.
And you mentioned these concerns of biometrics, and particularly what you spoke about is the inclusion of minorities and ethnicities. So could you just expand a little bit as to why this is a concern and why it hasn't been tackled by market already?
Yeah, so because we see today the biometric using are really, it's not only limited to individual devices anymore. It's more and more used in the public sector, like you mentioned. If, for example, if we want to have, the government want to have a digital identity with the biometric authentication for all their citizens, for sure you need this solution to support nearly 100% of your population to be able to have the usage and the good coverage for everyone. You want to have the equality of the solution and not introduce any discriminations. So this is an important part which the biometric solutions providers really need to be more careful about this area and try to dig in. And why it's not it's not there yet. We can see that the depending on the modalities, whether it's, for example, fingerprint or facial recognition, mostly facial recognitions are the main trend today. It's still a lot of ways, for example, if the solution is developed in Asian market, mostly the data they use to train their solution will be the Asian people. It's more difficult to for them to find different ethnicities people in their market to train their solution. But on the other hand, especially for minorities, for example, some specific disease, skin disease, it's difficult to find this kind of data and train their system to have the same performance. So it's a challenge on the market today to really cover that. But now at FIME, we are also, this is one of the research we are making, is to utilize the artificial intelligence technology today, trying to simulate some kind of the specific data. So you don't need to really gather thousands of people to of a specific ethnicity, but you can use a smaller group of the people to train the solution and to have similar data to be able to use in your development phase. So these part are also the area we can help the market to better cover this topic.
So it's not as simple as it seems in terms of just feeding data into an algorithm in the manufacturing process. It's a lot more complex than that. So just to clarify, you mentioned spoofing and anti-spoofing quite a number of times in the presentation. Could you just clarify what this means for anyone who's watching today who may not understand?
Yes. So for when using a biometric, let's take facial recognition again. For it's more commonly used. So if I use facial recognition on my phone, trying to unlock my phone, but the most concern is that if someone else take my photo that I uploaded on Instagram or Facebook Meta, and they print out the photo, can they also, and they get my phone, can they unlock my phone with my photo? Either it's digital image or it's a printout image. So this type of action, by presenting spoofed data, means a photo or video in front of my mobile phone, can it successfully access to my mobile phone? This part of action is called a spoofing.
Thank you, Jean. I'm quite aware that we're running out of time here, but we really appreciate your time that you spent with us presenting and being able to talk with me today. And I'm sure the audience does as well. If anybody watching has any further questions, please reach out to Jean directly on the platform. You can connect, you can find out more and discover more about what FIME are doing to help prevent that biometric bias. So thank you, Jean.